We'll go ahead and get started. The Public Defender Service Corporation Board of Trustees regularly scheduled meeting for April 2nd is called to order. The meeting was scheduled for today because it was originally scheduled during Holy Weekend, was asked to be moved. Notice was published. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of February 27th. Can I entertain a motion to approve the minutes?
Motioned.
All right, moved by trustee Kanata. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by trustee Whitman. All those in favor say aye.
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 Meeting minutes are approved, subject to any corrections that might be made. The next item is under old business, and we'll go through the financial status updates and the allotment releases for PDSC, APD, and CLC.
Good morning, Your Honor. PDSC received a total of 885,865 after the last board meeting, which brings PDSC to 86% and APD at 85% respectively. For the ICJR, as of February, we had expended $107,663 and the balance was at $24,919 for personnel costs and $9,204 for travel and supplies. This funding will be used until such time as Stock 22 is appropriated to us by the Governor's Office. For the EJC, invoices for January and February were submitted to DPHSS, but we have not received the payments as of today. The invoice for March will be submitted this month. Now for JAG, PDSC will be submitting a quarterly report of 1,100 in April, which is this month, to BSP for the usage of the Beam, the internet portion, for January through March 2024. The remaining balance of $902 will be used up in the next quarter. And that's it for the financials.
Any questions of Mike regarding the financial status update? All right, we'll now hear from the PDSC ED.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm over here in San Diego currently for a conference, but I decided to join the board meeting since Zoom's available. It's not like the old days where once you're off island, you don't have to show up at meetings anymore. But anyways, so, we did circulate the Sixth Amendment Center report. It's kind of a lot to digest, so I'm not sure how the board wants to proceed with it. There were specific recommendations, made to our office, which we are, currently working on. I mean, I think stuff like the performance standards, there was some training, although we've been doing a lot of training, already, but I think we could always use more training. And then obviously the earlier once we develop our standards, it's gonna result in the earlier representation of counsel of clients, right? Whether it's through meeting them within like 24, 48 hours of appointment and early investigation. So that's one of the other recommendations. So, but most of them were systemic and, we're available to work. And apparently, Mr. Carroll, the Sixth Amendment Center, I guess it's part of some grant that they get from the Bureau of Justice that they can provide technical assistance to Guam as we want to move forward with any changes or any changes to the system, right? But it's kind of like a really long report. I don't know if all the board members have had a chance to review it. So we just put it on to make sure you guys all have a copy, and we could leave it on our agenda and try to address it along the way. But in-house, obviously we're going to work on making the changes that he recommends for our office. And then as far as I guess we just found out that our budget is going to be due by, is it May 1st, Kathy?
Correct.
So
Correct.
we'll definitely, I mean, I know we'll have a board meeting at the end of April. hopefully we'll be pushing our next
We have
budget.
a
but
meeting scheduled for April 23rd, so that's the date that we should
do-
act to approve the budget in
But-
time for its transmittal to the legislature.
Yeah, but Kat, when do you think we could get our budget over to the?
I'm hoping that I can get it to the board sooner than the actual board meeting. So I'm shooting for next week to at least give you a draft of what we're working on, so that come the board meeting, you folks have already the numbers that we're looking at for FY 2025.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely try to get at least a week before the actual board meeting, right, Kat?
Correct, correct.
Okay, great. All right, and I think that's about it. We don't really have anything else. I don't know if we had our numbers because we wanted to leave some time to discuss that report if anyone had wanted to discuss it.
I noticed the Sixth Amendment report was not on this agenda. That was there. So while it's included in your report from the executive director, I think we should add it as an agenda item under new business for the next meeting, and then be prepared to discuss and maybe even if you could put in writing the specific steps that you feel are going to be undertaken by your office in connection with the recommendations of the report. Plus, obviously there are some next steps that have also been recommended in the recommendation section that's going to look at, need legislation and funding as well for some of those recommendations that are going to be, if they're going to be implemented, particularly in looking at the establishment of the Defender Commission and the members that are set forth in the Defender Commission. So I think I would recommend if you're looking at taking the report, first of all, we put it on the agenda so we're able to discuss it in more detail at a meeting with appropriate notice. And then also that the provisions in the report that deal specifically with the offices of PD and APD, that each of the directors and managing attorneys respond to the report in writing with the recommendations to the trustees of, what you want to address and what you intend to do to address some of the findings in the report. And then as well, if you have any general thoughts on the other recommendations that are provided.
Okay, yeah, so definitely we'll do that at the next board meeting. I know we'll also it'll be with our budget as well, but we'll
Yeah, it
circulate.
might be a busy meeting with the
Yeah.
budget. We might have to, punt it again for another time, but we'll see how much time we have. But if you can prepare at least, start thinking about and writing responses, to the specific findings of the report that deal with each of the, both PD and APD, and then, and the overall recommendations that were made. I think that will be helpful to the trustees, particularly if you're looking for any trustee action or any assistance, whether that's, implementation of or adoption of the standards or increased training opportunities using lapsed funds, whatever it is that we want to do, we should be able to put that in there.
Thank you, Chief Justice. We'll work on that for that.
All right. Annie?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Page 90 of the packet has our first quarter to date, or second quarter to date numbers. We added the average case time on there, and then right now showing the cases opened, closure orders, average case time, and all that. So the numbers are there. Total pretrial case numbers we have are 543. Everything else seems to be self-explanatory. If anybody has any questions, I can try to answer them, but I'm just looking at the numbers. The Nothing really jumps out at me unless you have anything to add, Your Honor.
Annie, I'm curious if we can dig down deeper because of the significant number of cases that are taking more than 12 months to, you know, 68% of the misdemeanor cases are taking more than 12 months. And 52% of the felonies, if we can, you know, drill down further to further understand, well, how much longer is it going to be? I mean, are we talking 13 months? Are we talking 18 months? I mean, because, you know, under the time standards, we're supposed to look to getting the felonies done within 1 year. There's just no way we're getting felonies within a year if half of the cases that you're doing are still remaining open, you know, beyond a year. And misdemeanors, I mean, that's even more troubling to me, that misdemeanors will take, you know, more than a year to resolve a misdemeanor case. Almost, you know, 2/3 of the misdemeanor cases are beyond a year. And also if there's any reasons, I mean, what reasons that are, you know, is occurring? Is it just continuances? Is it, you know, not getting plea agreements on time? I'm just curious to what is causing these delays in the system, because, you know, it's obvious to me, and I'm going to share these numbers with our clerk of court, our new clerk of court, as well as, you know, our administrator, in terms of looking at the numbers. And I don't know if PD has a similar numbers. I didn't see the numbers obviously in the packet, but if you have, you know, similar numbers for the average case time, and that, you know, for completion, because I think that's important.
Yeah, and that honestly, I think some of that might be bench warrants. So there's a lot of, I mean,
Well,
you know, the
if it is,
543
then I think we
cases.
should have a more accurate reporting and say, okay, if a lot of those are because they're outstanding warrants that can't be served, let's carve those out so we get a better you know, a realistic view. Because I think it's important to understand how long these are going on. I mean, if I look at this just as it's presented, it suggests that, you know, there's significant delays. If a big bulk of those cases are just bench warrants that haven't been there, then maybe they should be moved off to a different item, a different category, and not counted towards the numbers that we're looking at, because they're really not it's almost like it's not an active case, as opposed to a case that's taking, you know, 12 to 24 months to resolve.
Okay. I understand what you're saying, Your Honor. We'll try to dig deeper as to what the cause is of the delay.
Yeah. And I want to share this, like I said, with our clerks, because you know, one of the big things we're finding, I mean, and even in terms of at least looking at it on appeals, some of the appeals that are coming up are from cases that, you know, were not resolved within a 1 year time period.
Yeah,
and we're trying to get a handle and understanding, you know, looking at some of that data. And we just hired our data specialist now, you know, who's going to be helping us get some of the data that we want, that we're collecting but not utilizing. And it'd be good to cross-check it with the data that PDs has, particularly when we're looking at the time standards in criminal cases.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at your calendar year 2023, you had only 29% that were greater than 12 months. So and then of course calendar year 2024, we're really only 3 months in, so that number is kind of inflated probably by all the bench warrants. Maybe Audrey Hattori would be able to.
And Steve,
Yeah.
Attorney Steve, maybe we have a different column for that bench warrants. I don't know if that would make it sound, I mean, like under that column. I don't know. Would that be easier to read?
Yeah, if we exclude them from the time standards because they're not, we'll make
They're
them
really not active.
status.
I think we should kind of segregate them. If that's the main cause, then we understand that.
Okay, we'll do that for the next meeting.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Annie. All right, then, Carol?
Your Honor, our stats, I apologize about my throat. Our stats are found on pages 92 and 93 of the report submitted for the board. You can see that there's increase in services being provided, especially on the elderly justice side. We are hitting like a 35 plus every month now, sometimes 50 or more. And that's actual clients. It doesn't include the fact that we provide them with multiple services per client at times. So some of them can receive 3 different types of services, but we mark it as one client. So we're moving on that track. We continue to try to clear everything that comes into the office as quickly as we can, service them because of the need. And the rest of the stats shows, we continue to see our numbers increasing, especially on the CLC side, which is like the guardianship stuff we've been doing, helping out child protective services on cases that are referred over to us where guardianships are needed. So if there's any questions, please ask. I'm still working with UOG to develop the cost of the program, which is going to be a guardian ad litem advocate intern program that I'm going to be working with the social work, Trisha Lizama at UOG.
Yeah, so explain that one, Carol. That's the one where we're going to try to get social workers to be appointed as guardian ad litem, so you don't have to pay attorneys $150 an hour to do that, and then they can concentrate on other stuff.
So we've been getting interns, requests for internships at our office, where they get school credit. So what we're trying to do is develop a program within the social work area where we can help their interns and develop them and mold them so that they have not only courtroom experience, but also like they're able to do home visits and social work skills that's done through the CPS program. And I talked to Trisha because I'm actually one of the trainers on the child sexual abuse curriculum, which was a key to CPSs. And so I told her that if we work out this MOU and develop this program, I would be willing to go into the classes at UOG and at least train on that particular area, since that's what I was doing with the Department of Education. Every year, the new teachers coming in, I would go in and train them on the sexual abuse curriculum that's taught in the classes. And because we see a spike in those cases, the intentions is if I step into the CASA program, I can assist in making these part of the hours that's required for them to become a CASA intern. So they would get education on the CPS mandates, their roles, and all that stuff. So it's kind of like a benefit on both ends. Like I would be able to help them and use them in court. They would be assigned to an attorney in our office, which is either Dominic or myself. And what we would do is we would, assist them in doing home visits or school visits where they would get updates on the children. So they would perform the functions of a guardian ad litem, but really more of an assistant to the attorney that's handling the case.
Yeah, but eventually down the road, if you get enough social workers who are serving as guardian ad litems, they can actually replace. There's no requirement that an attorney be appointed to be a guardian ad litem when there's like trained social workers. So
Correct.
it's a good way of addressing the shortage of lawyers on Guam as well.
Yeah, and I was mentioning because the PAP has been having issues because we're civil. I mean, we strained ourselves away from APD and public defenders. So for the juvenile special proceedings PINS cases, our office can be appointed in the guardian ad litem role, since we do have that conflict wall that allows us to serve in that function, that at least in that function for those cases where there wouldn't be any conflict, since APDs and PDs represents the parents most of the time, which is what I talked to Hannah about. Getting us appointed in, and that would be it's a cost efficient way too for the courts. So we're not tapping into the private attorney panel.
And then so in prior years, like I think 2018, 2019, 2017, 18, and I think 19, we had submitted additional budget requests to try to have our civil division funded by the legislature. And so I know Carol's working on a budget, and we're gonna be trying to push it through this year because the ARPA money that we received, we might exhaust it by January or December of this year or January of next year. So we'll definitely need supplemental funding to maintain the programs at that site after January of 2025. And so that's going to be part of our budget request. And you guys will submit it next, before the next board meeting. But we're reaching out to senators already. We've gotten some kind of support, but I think we're got to go out and meet a few more, right, Carol?
Yes, that's correct. And I mean, if you look at the numbers, Your Honor, it's clear. I mean, even just looking at EJC, we receive $197,000 a year under that grant alone. If you multiplied that by the months, like even just taking 40, which is an average, by the month, it's about 420. And if you multiply that with just even a standard basic fee of 1,500 or 2,500, it's about $1 million worth of services our office provides. So I mean, localizing our office where we're not charging any fees or anything is I mean, cost effective to continue these services, and it would allow us to expand in other areas as well. Like I said, we still get calls about small estate probates, but we would follow the law because the law is very clear. 3 attorneys, private attorneys need to reject them because they're, indigent. So, I mean, we would set those standards and make sure that, we're not taking away services from the Guam Bar.
So that's going to be part of the budget proposal that we're going to submit.
Yeah, we usually submit it as like a separate allocation for that division. But
Was that included? It wasn't included in last year's?
No, we didn't include in last year because we were still being funded. We still had enough funds through ARPA and our other grants. But
Right.
so
When are those grants expiring?
Well, 2 of them are pretty well. One of them's continuous, the stop grant. The ICJR is, I think we're gonna exhaust that. I don't know if they're gonna get that renewed. And the LAS has been the Senior Elder Justice Center grants but the amount of money we get for those 3 grants doesn't really fund the entire program. I think we get like 70,000-80,000 a year from stop, and then the LAS grant is worth about under 200,000, right, Carol?
Yeah, it's under 200,000.
But you just can't, yeah, it's hard to run a program that would only fund like 3 employees, right?
Yeah,
So,
maybe 2.5.
but we were fortunate we got some ARPA funding, and so
Not even.
Well, we should, look at setting forth the budget request, including, the grant funds that are available, what the shortfall will be. And then, obviously, I think that this is something we're going to have to work with the legislature and vet it with them as well. Obviously we can submit it. We may want to even make contact at least with the chairperson before we even submit the budget and let them be aware that this is some of the grants that are expiring, when they're expiring, and why the additional local funding has to take over where these grants have expired.
thank you. Yeah, we'll be working on that.
All right. Is there anything else? Any questions, Jackie? Anything? No? All right, we'll now go to the next item on the agenda. And actually, I noticed that this is actually a typo because it's not the executive director pay update. In the last meeting packet, it was the executive pay plan adjustment. And that's actually what we're going to be discussing today is the executive pay plan adjustment, and that was what the resolution is. So I just would note that it's not really dealing with the director's pay, but with the adoption of the executive pay plan. When we met last meeting, and there is a resolution in the packet that was there was some confusion as to whether the executive pay plan had been updated to take into consideration the changes that had been made with the general pay plan on which the executive pay plan was based on. And there was some discussion that the executive pay plan had not been adjusted, and the executive director's pay also had not been adjusted. We learned that the pay actually of the executive director had been adjusted when the 6% plus the 15% increase went in, but that the executive pay plan had not been updated to reflect the 22% increase that's been in there. And is that a correct synopsis, Kathy, if you can? I just want to make sure that that's what's there and that's what, and if you can go over that.
That is correct. We did adjust the ED's pay when we did the GPP approval, and then as well as when we gave the attorneys the 15% for the APP. So what you summarized is correct. So what we have before you now is the resolution to adopt the EPP, the executive pay plan, at 22%. So across the board, we'd like to have the board approve the EPP.
Right. So essentially what happened was, even though the increases were made, the new pay plan had never been adopted on the EPP. So that's what we're going to try to do today, is just make that adjustment. We made the adjustments to the general pay plan. We made the adjustments to the attorney pay plan, but for some reason we missed, it wasn't brought to our attention to make the actual adjustments to the to the executive pay plan. And so the Exhibit A to the resolution now shows the new attorney pay plan that is executive pay plan that's being recommended to be adopted by us, and there is also the resolution indicating that. So does anyone have any questions on this matter? Now that we've got clarity in terms of what it is. And so right now, the only action item is to approve the adjusted executive pay plan as reflected on Exhibit A, and showing that executive pay plan. Kathy, is the updated resolution? My packet still shows an older resolution. I think.
Page 95 and 96 is the corrected resolution. 96 should have been deleted. That was my fault. So there's another 96 in the packet that I just sent. But what you see on the.
I see. There's a duplicate page. Yeah. Okay, I see.
So then if you went to 95 and 96.
All right.
97.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
So it should have been deleted, but it's page 95 and 96, which is what we talked about in terms of the correction of the EPP. So that's 95 and 95 and 96. So that was we discussed.
So the page 96, 97, it shows 2 on the bottom, page 96 of 103 and 97 of 104. Just ignore that. That
correct.
That
should have been.
That's just included by accident. And instead go back to the resolution, which is found on page 95 and 96. So can we entertain any questions first on that? If there's no questions, can I entertain a motion to approve the adoption of the new executive pay plan pursuant to resolution 4-24 and as reflected on attached Exhibit A?
Motioned.
All right, there's a motion by Trustee Kanata. Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right, seconded by Attorney Talai raised her hand and there. So, all right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
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 There being no objection, that resolution passes. All right, the next item on the agenda is the, I guess it's a classification or amending the administrative assistant to the administrative officer. And there is an Exhibit B that talks about that. And who's going to talk about this at the onset?
I guess I can speak to it as well as if Kat wanted to as well. But so, right now within the public defender world, we do the next level above an AA is a management officer, but we need something between a management officer and a AA, which would be the AO position. So an AO position would be able to have increased duties to assist both our fiscal and our HR. Their duties have really expanded in the last couple years. Now that both APD and the Civil Law Center has grown, so there's a greater need for them to get the help from another assistant. So we want to increase the level of the AO to an AA to an AO, which is, it's less than an MO, which is, I think, an M. This is only really a one-letter grade up, but we anticipate them getting additional duties to
Has
help.
a desk audit been done of these positions, Steve?
Well, we're trying to avoid a desk audit by, I mean, we want, because it's not really in a job description right now, so we can't really let our AA do it, although, she's kind of been doing it on and off. So we wanted to try to set the position up in case that in the future, we need to upgrade the position, then we could have a desk audit conducted and then do it.
Steve, Your Honor, may I for a minute? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, Your Honor, or Steve, I just want you to clarify something. So
Sure.
actually, we did this, we would be creating another position under the title AO. Is that what this is?
Yeah, that's correct. So that in the future, if the AA position becomes vacant, we could replace it with an AO. Because right now our only option is the MO position. Like if we desk audited her up, the only equivalent position that's a current public defender position as an MO, which is like a M grade, I think.
So my question to you is, would she be taking away some responsibility from Kathy right now? Or
No,
is it
no,
something that's directly under you
no.
or?
She'll still be under the supervision of Kathy. So she'll do extra duties that Kathy or HR or fiscal assigned to her.
Your Honor, if you just give me a minute, I'm,
Sure.
something in my gut's telling me about, we do this, we might be opening a Pandora's box for the pay plan. And if it's not in the structure that we have now, I'm afraid that, we've been here before. And I know some of you know what I'm talking about, and I just don't want to be in that situation like we were before. So I'm going to walk on this like I'm walking on eggshells, and I'm going to tell you that I don't feel, Steve, this is the first time I'm hearing it, and I don't think
Well,
that we should
the reason,
entertain this unless we have more information. And I'm afraid that if we don't have, if maybe you should give us more details on what this responsibility is, because we've been without this position forever. So, if you're creating a new position because she's doing more responsibilities, then who's doing those responsibilities right now?
yeah, so
And
currently,
shouldn't that fall under Kathy? And I'm sorry, I shouldn't
Yeah.
use Kathy's name, but I'm just saying that we're creating another position, and I'm afraid that we're creating another position, and we have to fund that position. And if somebody's not sitting in this position as now, of now, then why are we creating this position? I don't know, it feels like this position is kind of like redundant, like
well,
we already have
so
somebody doing this, and then you want an assistant to the assistant? I
yeah,
don't
no,
know.
no. So this isn't going to be a new position. We're not going to hire another body. What we want to do is uh give the current body extra work and increase the position to fit
But
the
Steve,
increased
I don't
duty.
think we can do
I-
that either, because if there's gonna be a position that's created and it's gonna be a new position under the classifications, I think there has to be competition for that position.
Oh, no,
Um,
no. Yeah, we understand that. So like in the future, if this position becomes vacant, then we can have the option of replacing the person with an AO or with a management officer. Right now, my only option is management officer, which is higher than an AO. So if
right,
the
but
position
right now
becomes
we have
vacant,
the AA established under,
yeah,
uh,
we have the AA established and we have a MO established within the public defender realm. So if our AA becomes vacant and then I feel the need that we need a position that can handle more responsibility. Right now,
But
the
why
only
can't we
could do is an MO.
why can't we just increase the AA's responsibility? I
Well,
mean,
'cause
you're creating something we're gonna have to put it in the, um, I mean, we're creating a new position and we're gonna have to fund that new position. And that's where I'm like not sitting well with it, because I mean, we've been down this road before. Um, I'm sorry that I have to feel like this, but I'm gonna be adamant about this. I mean, we've been through this before and I don't want to go through this again. And it's because it created so much havoc later on down the road. I don't want this position to be created because we're trying to fit it for somebody uh who wants more responsibilities. If they want more, if we want them to give them more responsibilities, just change the responsibilities on what their classification is. I mean, I
no,
don't
yeah,
know,
that's what we're trying to do. But
but not with the new title.
well, so
yeah, but I think also it raises questions about if we create a new position and then don't open it up for competition, you can't just move the incumbent into that new position because she's performing the duties currently and then with added duties to that position. I don't think
oh
that.
no, no, I totally understand that. And so it's just
But
another.
Steve, if you're not looking to fill this position until the AA position is vacant, why not wait until the AA position is vacant then and then come back to the board and say, rather than fill the AA position, we'd like to create an AO position
Well,
and
at that point, I'll just hire an MO because we will need the position filled fast sooner than later, and that will take probably 2 months rather than I could just announce the MO position and
Steve, Steve, when
I'm
we
trying
get
to
there,
save the corporation money by
yeah, but
expanding the scope of a position. And when it becomes vacant, we can just hire an AO instead of a MO. And so we would
but
have that job description in the bank already. Because I mean, I'm in
but are
charge of
you
the entire
proposing
Public
it be
Defender Service
created with a
Corporation.
funding source?
Yeah, well, it's only going to cost $10,000 more, so we would have
uh,
Oh,
the
no,
money.
it's not, because it's
no,
gonna take the AA plus 10,000, so you're gonna have both positions
No, no,
available.
no, we're not going to fill a new position. We just want the authority to hire an AO if the AA position becomes
but
vacant.
Steve,
I have
that
no
means you're
intention of
tailoring,
hiring an extra body
but
for
Steve, that means
administration.
you're tailoring this position for somebody who already works there.
No, 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 we're tailoring this position because our fiscal and our HR can't keep up with the demand. And I want to make sure that our other divisions within
But,
the office are taken care of by
but, the-
expanding the scope of this particular position. But I have no intention of filling it with another body. I'm not asking for another
no,
body. If it becomes vacant, then I want the ability to hire an AO instead of a AA. That's all I'm
I,
asking for.
no, I think it's all you're asking for now, Steve, but
Mm.
I honestly believe, people are not gonna interpret that like that. They're gonna say, no, we created another position. And and then we're gonna have to support that position with funding.
Oh no,
And
yeah,
we,
we would
no,
never.
we've been there before, Steve. Honestly, sweetie, we've been there
Oh,
before.
I know, but I'm telling you, I'm not trying to hire another person. I'm just
I know
trying to
that,
right size the position.
but then I feel then you're tailoring it just for specific person for whatever reason that is. I don't even know who sits in that position. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I feel like we've been here before.
Look, I don't want to explain why we need it because it's going to point out certain deficiencies within our office. Just trust me as a
But
director
then
that we
maybe we
need
need to,
that fiscal and HR needs extra help.
Well,
okay, but then
Steve,
maybe we need,
wait, maybe we can do then the desk audit of the AO and you know, even though you say you can't expand, you're kind of limited, but if she is performing duties that are beyond, or is in a position to perform duties beyond what is already in the AA, then that might justify you know, the creation of the AO. I mean, it's hard to just you know, go forward and say we're gonna do an AO position with what duties we need to do if HR and management needs this additional support, then maybe we put it in writing, even if it's done as part of a personnel issue that we can look at in executive session.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, that's fine. We could do it in executive session. I mean, I think if you guys hear the whole explanation as to why we need a upgraded position, then you'd probably end up agreeing with me that we, because
I
fiscal
think we need more
and HR
information,
needs more
Steve.
help to be able to do the jobs that they're doing. And I'm just trying to get it to them without hiring another body by just expanding the duties of current employees.
Yeah, but then
And-
you're saying without hiring another body, getting them assistance, but we have a warm body in the AA position currently. And so, you know, we are gonna be looking at another body if they're gonna get the help that they need, unless that help is going to be, you know, provided in a different way, they're gonna need a body to perform that work.
Oh, no, that's what I mean by expanding the duties that we give our AA. Then they would be able to, because they don't really need a full, fiscal doesn't need a third person in there. HR doesn't need a
But
PR personal specialist too. But if they can get the help of an AO, then I think we can meet their needs.
Steve, I really think you're giving you're creating a new position and we're gonna have to fund it. I mean, my
Okay,
gut tells me that, and unless you give me more information and who sits there and we get everybody's job description, I think we can find, without creating that position, I think we can find somebody, if there's a warm body over there, I think we can reevaluate what that warm body is doing and give them more responsibility, but I don't want to create another position. That,
no, I
I don't
understand. We're
go
not
on that
funding
road
another
again, Steve.
position. And we've talked it over with our HR. Kate Sablan said she's pretty much maxed out at the description that the AA description. So I don't know if we could accrete additional duties to her that are, would
But
end up.
then maybe those extra duties could go to some other position. I mean, we've been, I mean, the corporation's never had this position. Why are we gonna create it? I still am back to, we're gonna have to fund it. I know it. I feel it.
okay.
I'm sorry. Sorry, Your Honor. I
No,
just
it's
think
good. It's good questions.
No, this is a good
Let the
question.
record reflect also the presiding judge has joined us. And PJ, we're on the part of the agenda about the creation of this administrative officer position. Steve is trying to get an administrative officer created. He's suggesting that it replace the administrative assistant, which is currently filled. There's an incumbent in that position. And if there's he's looking at it in the future, if there's a vacancy in the AA position, that instead of hiring an AA, they hire an AO. And he's looking, and Trustee Kanata has expressed concern about creating the position, suggests that there would be funding that would have to be available for that position allocated, even if, and one of the questions I asked, if there's no interest in filling that position until the AA position is vacant, why can't we wait until then? But he believes that there's some administrative, HR, and fiscal support that's needed, that is not, that they can't seem to wait, or that it would take too long to create the AO position when the vacancy happens, and he would look to hire a management officer, but they don't maybe not need a management officer. Are there any management officers at PD currently?
Well, there's one at APD. That's why that position exists within the public defender realm, and
The
and then
the managing officer?
yeah, but there is no AO position. So I don't, that's why
Well,
we were
it's-
trying to
I
do a
think
desk audit
we
route for
asked
the,
about Steve getting us additional information on why he believes the additional duties are additional work is needed and can't be performed by the current staff on board. And he indicated he would try to maybe give a report to us on that in executive session next time, since it involves personnel. And we'd be happy to look at it then.
yeah, and
Maybe
just
he
for the
could try
record,
to,
I'm not trying,
advance his cause.
yeah. And I agree with Trustee Kanata. For the record, we don't need a whole additional body to provide the services that HR and fiscal need, I think. So I'm not asking for another body, just to be able to upgrade a position.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a couple of questions just so I'm clear on everything?
Yes, go ahead.
So Steve, as I understand it, there wouldn't be two bodies. There wouldn't be an AO and an AA sitting at the same time, right?
No, yeah, that's correct.
And if the AA position became vacant and we wanted to hire for the AO, it would be competitive.
Yeah, of course it would. Yeah.
Yep, I understood that to be the case for sure. But it's just the question of, there's currently the AA, so we don't have a vacancy available to, or the funding, it looks like, for an AO until that position becomes vacant.
And so we weren't even asking for funding. We were just asking for that position to be added to the public defender list of positions.
All right, so we'll go with the discussion for advancing why that's necessary with the additional work that needs to be done, and the discussion of that at the next meeting in executive session for some of the shortfalls in the personnel side that might be addressed then.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
All right.
So we taking this issue, Mr. Chairman,
Pardon, PJ?
table to the next hearing date?
Yes, we will table it.
They move to table it to the next hearing.
I
Alright.
second it.
Okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is just any public discussion? Nothing?
So you're
All right, and so our next meeting is gonna be the 23rd. It's gonna be a lengthy meeting because of the budget approval and going through the budget. And then if we have time, we'll come back to revisit this issue on the AO creation of an AO position, as well as the 6AC. But we probably won't have time for all of that. And the first priority will be doing the budget if we can. All right.
And we'll get the
There's-
budget to you a week before.
All right, thank you. All right,
Okay.
there being no further business to come before, can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Motion,
All right, moved by trustee Kanata, seconded by presiding judge. There being no objection, the meeting stands adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.